Hello everybody, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. I really needed that. I want to talk about surprises. Let's see what surprises we can talk about with relation to shit hitting the fan. I would like to start by discussing a little bit of my own history, a little bit of my own experience, and a little bit of stuff that caught me off guard. I was a prepper starting at age 14. I've shared this with you guys in the past. You know, I got through grade school, through high school. I was enlisted in the Marine Corps. I saw some crooked, rotten shit in there. Found out who our masters really are. And it ain't the government. Or at least it wasn't. And hopefully, right, we'll have our government back. That's the hope. But at that time, it wasn't. Well, I got out and I got a little bit lazy and a little bit slow and thought, well, you know, I'm back in the civilian world. And then, you know, Waco happened about that time. And I thought, oh shit, you know, the government, it's not all that good it's supposed to be. I got caught off guard a little bit. That's about the time I started looking into conspiracies, conspiracy theory. I went from being just a prepper into just an individual researcher. You know, I researched religion, I researched secret societies. I started investigating government and its history. It was really an exciting time for me. And then right after that, or during that, the Oklahoma City bombing occurred. Took me totally off guard. I thought, holy shit, who could do that, right? Well, it didn't take long for retired Air Force General Ben Parton, who was a demolitions expert, to come out and say, hey, this was all bullshit, right? It caught me off guard. I was like, holy shit, you know, who could have done this? And you do the math. It's pretty simple math to find out who the bad guys are when you eliminate the variables. So, you know, you've got a world full of suspects, and when you remove everyone who cannot be the suspect, what you're left with, no matter how unpredictable or how inexcusable, that's who the bad guy is. And so I started prepping a little more in earnest. Not just ammunition and guns, but food. And I got married, bought a house, started my family, and Y2K happened, made it through that. And I thought, you know what? I got this all figured out now. And then 9/11 hit. Just kabam, right? 9/11 hit. And my second son was born right after that, a couple of months. And the protective side of me, right, the side that wants to protect the family and protect my country and go kick some ass, the patriot in me that said we've been attacked by an outside force, right, by evil somewhere, caught me totally off guard, even with 10 years experience after, you know, Waco and and Ruby Ridge and Oklahoma City and all the patriot movement stuff in the 1990s. Even with my experience always trying to be ready, it caught me off guard. And I bought it. I bought the bullshit for a little while. You know, how long do you have to be caught off guard before you realize, whoops, you know, they got me? Well, It was long enough, right? They got all their shit started. You know, there were inconsistencies in the demolition. That's what it really was. It's the demolition of the Twin Towers and Building 7. But, you know, the terror attack is what we were told. And it was a terror attack. You know, I got caught off guard. Once I realized I'd been duped, you know, I said, never again. Never again. I'm going to be ready for every fucking thing. I'm going to be ready with food, water, shelter, medicine, first aid stuff, a means of self-defense, a bug-out plan, everything. I got it all covered. And it surprises me in a way that more people haven't caught on, that more Americans didn't realize. You know, I know there's a big percentage that believes that the government was involved at some level in 9/11. It's a big percentage. In fact, it's a surprising percentage. You know, last I checked, it was, was it 25%, maybe 35%, that the government was involved in some way, which is an enormous percentage. And it smacks of an understanding by the people that treason exists. On some level, by somebody, there was treason. So, I thought, never again will I be caught off guard. And I haven't. I haven't since then, but we really haven't had the terror activity happen. We've had the Boston bombing, lots of school shootings. We've had mass shootings, others. We've had some almost terror events like the Muslims that shot up L.A. or the airport or something down there. But they haven't caught me off guard again. And then something did catch me off guard, and that was old President Trump there. So far, he's caught me off guard, and I'm trying not to get caught off guard again. But in this time, it was positive. Good things are happening right now. So let me go over them a little bit. We had some serious escalation, near World War III type stuff over in Ukraine. And it's not wound down all the way yet. There's still potential trouble over there. But I don't really think that the U.S. is going to go after Russia, not on their front doorstep. I think Napoleon and Hitler have proved you don't go, you don't head to Moscow if there's any chance you're going to get caught before winter. Right? And why would you do it anyway? Mutually assured self-destruction through nuclear meltdown and just obliteration. It's just not a good idea. Right? So Trump, I mean, you don't even hear about Ukraine on the news anymore. You don't hear about Obama, how he had Navy ships in the Black Sea and how they were getting shut down by Russian electronic warfare. You know. So then we turn our attention over to North Korea. And, you know, Trump started escalating that. I'm going to send over carrier groups, you know, the Vincent. And caught me off guard. He surprised me because I thought, hey, he's not going to do that. Well, he didn't really do anything. In fact, here we are. We're on the verge of peace with North Korea. It's kind of caught me off guard, but only in a good way. Because, like I said, since 9/11, I've been ready for everything. Always ready to a greater degree. But the part that I think we all need to be aware of is mental preparation. You know, that's why I did this channel, The Prepared Mind. I already got everything else, right? I on a weekly basis, I go through a checklist and I double check everything and I make sure I'm good. You know, and yeah, I'm good, but it's the mental preparation that is going to be key to dealing with shit hitting the fan. So, are we going to get shit hitting the fan with war in Ukraine? No. We're going to have war on the Korean Peninsula. It appears not. We've had this Syria problem. And it looked like it was going to escalate. Caught me off guard, right? He sent some missiles over. Did it twice. right? He kind of fooled me twice. Trump is a very good player at this game that he's playing. But unlike all the other past false flags, which were designed to disarm you, to take your rights, to harm you, everything Trump has done has had the opposite effect. It's been beneficial to the United States. It's been beneficial to the world. More peace, less war. A lot of confusion, but I think that's necessary in whatever game it is he's playing. So Libya, that was done, you know, the Benghazi deal, Libya, under Obama. But we haven't had to revisit that with Trump. He did some razzle-dazzle when we had our Parkland shooting there in Florida, talking about getting rid of bump stocks, and I was ready for him that time. I thought he's playing a fucking game, right? He can't take shit, right? And he couldn't, and nothing's happened because of that. In fact, everyone's gone away, even that little prick David Hogg. I haven't heard from him in a while, which is great. But right now we're dealing with Syria calming down. North Korea looks like it's wrapping up. And the next move appears to be Iran. Another hotbed, right? It's another country that the media and the government has told us is our enemy. They're the bad guys. You know, Iran is the biggest funder of terror in the Middle East. That's what they tell us. But what country were the terrorists that supposedly flew those planes into the Twin Towers? Well, they were Saudi Arabians, not Iranians. Saudi Arabians. Saudis, those people that sell us a lot of oil. And there's a lot of back channel hubbubaloo over that that I won't get into here. But the Iranians really haven't done anything to us since, 1979, when they took the American hostages until Reagan was elected. And then they handily gave them back real fast. So with Trump, we've got this unusual character. It looks like he really is interested in peace, because we're not going to start new wars here. You know, we're getting a lot of information. The American government has its propaganda. The Russian government has its propaganda. And then the dark state, the deep state, the cabal, they are the ones who own the media, the television, the newspapers, the internet websites. They control all that, and they're trying to control the information war, right? The propaganda war. That's why they've shut us down here so much. Continuing to see people complain. In fact, while I'm here right now, if you watch any channel over on YouTube, watch the video commercials for those people's channels, if they have any, because that really does pay them pennies per person. And if they've got 5, 10, 15,000 views on a video, and people have watched those commercials, it makes the money. It helps them pay their bills and fund their activity. YouTube has been stealing that, by the way. You know, well, sure, it's only a couple $100, but that helps pay the bills at the end of the month. So over there on your channels that you watch, help those guys out. Watch their fucking stupid commercials. Put up with them. Whatever you got to do. Go take a leak, get another cup of coffee, but let those commercials play so those guys make more money off of YouTube, because YouTube is just stealing their money. I've been getting more information about that too. They're in trouble. Right? YouTube, Google, Facebook, Twitter, they're all in big fucking trouble. And it's being mentally aware of what's going on. Like I said, I started in on this shit in the 90s. And I think I'm up to speed now. It's only taken over 25 years. But if things continue this way, if Trump goes into Iran, right, he just had the big meeting with El Presidente Macron from France, right, who came over here trying to push the dark state agenda, ended up kissing Trump's face and kind of kissing his ass too, right? But he's going to go over and redo the Iran deal. He's going to, in my opinion, this is what I think his plan is. His success level is something different, but his plan, Trump's plan with Iran, is to rework the deal, remove the sanctions, open up trade, and knock off the bullshit. And then after that, I think he's going to, if he's successful in Iran, I think he's going to do something about the Zionist state. I think he's going to go after those bad guys. It appears to me, from all outward appearance, that Trump is going after the bad guys. I think we're actually going to have an economic collapse in this country, but I'm mentally prepared for it. I'm stocked up with preps, right? That's what we are here. We're preppers. But being mentally prepared for what's coming so I don't get taken off guard. You know, as well-versed, as experienced, as up to speed on all the current events. When Trump went after Syria the second time, you know, Alex Jones lost his nuts. He lost his Wheaties. He just fucking shit all over the place. He wasn't prepared. He wasn't calm and cool and collected. You know, I was worried about what was going on because I don't trust anybody. Ultimately, it comes down to what is really happening. But we're getting a lot of interesting false information, bullshit, double crosses, all kinds of tricks being played. And right now, it's not being played on us. But at some point, all the chickens are going to come home to roost. As the bad guys lose their control, as they lose their control in this game that's being played, this high-level, high-powered game, at some point there's going to be a massive false flag. There's going to have to be. Because there's actually no reason for Trump to go after the bankers if they're not criminal. There's no reason for him to go after the Democrats if they're not criminal. And by criminal, I mean seriously criminal. Right? There's no reason. If they're playing fair and square and it's just everyone's playing enough by the rules, it's not a big deal, no problem. But it appears he's going after the criminals and the states where the criminals are operating through. He's going after the human trafficking. He's going after the drugs. He's going after the money laundering. All of these things are happening behind the scenes. And we're getting little bits and pieces of them in the news, and I'm starting to learn, and I'm getting better at knowing where to look for these signs. You know, and it's more than breadcrumbs. You know, it's more than breadcrumbs that are happening out there. But the world is going to get caught off guard. By the world, I mean everyone. Like I said, even though 25% of people know that 9/11 had something to do with our government, only 5% of the overall population are prepping to some degree. There's 20% out there that should know better and aren't doing anything. And the rest of them got their head up their asses. Right? They need to insert a little piece of glass in the front of their stomach so when they got their head fully up their ass, they can see where they're going. It's called a windowectomy. Anyways, what I'm saying is we don't want to get caught off guard. Being mentally prepared is understanding our preps, understanding the area in which we live. It's understanding how we're going to defend ourselves. It's understanding that in the first few days of shit hitting the fan, you should probably eat MREs. Right? They're meals ready to eat. You haven't broken out the super stoves. You haven't had to break out all of the water. Hopefully not. Right? All of your emergency water supplies and systems. You haven't had to go on full tilt security. You know, but it's going to take some getting used to, right? To get into that mode. It's like going camping. The first 8 hours of camping, it's kind of like pigs on roller skates. After a couple hours, you get the system figured out and off you go. Right? For those people that aren't prepping, those first few hours and first few days are going to be a nightmare for them. They're not mentally ready. They're not mentally prepared. They've been caught off guard. So being prepared is one thing. Having a plan is important. Understanding your situation, the politics, the logistics of shit hitting the fan in your area and what you need to do is important. But getting caught off guard is going to fuck people up. And it's just one more thing I want to talk to you about and tell you, be ready. Don't get caught off guard. I don't like getting caught off guard. It pisses me off. You know, I got caught off guard with 9/11. I got duped, right? Sure, we didn't have our power off. We didn't lose water and fuel and everything, electricity. We didn't lose our grid. We didn't lose our nation. But we all got duped. I got caught off guard. What's going to happen is, as I've said, Trump is going after the bankers. He's going after the investment firms. He's going after the pedophiles and the human sex traffickers. He's going after the narcotics industry. He's going after the funding now. He's looking at and involving the world through QAnon and other researchers. QAnon isn't the only one out there, but there's other groups that are looking at. They're going after foreign corporations where the Democrats, the bankers, and these people are hiding their money and how they're funding black projects. Where that money's going, they're going to be held to account. And these aren't fly-by-nighters. This isn't Dr. Evil, right, who's a moron. These are very smart people. And they're playing for keeps, right? Waco was about a very specific thing. The Oklahoma City bombing was very specific. 9/11 was very specific. Very potent, very powerful moves. And they haven't done anything like 9/11 since 9/11. They've just done little things. But what have they done? They've smuggled out nuclear weapons. Fukushima is questionable about whether or not that was caused by a nuclear bomb set offshore underwater that lifted the water really high and blew it towards Japan. There's some question about that still. We've had nuclear ordnance disappear. We've had radioactive material disappear. We've had high explosives disappear. This is just stuff they've reported. I'm not going to be caught off guard. I don't want you to be caught off guard. I don't want to be surprised by any of this shit. So as Trump moves more and more into this, as this summer heats up, beautiful spring day, by the way, having a glorious cigar and a beer. As it heats up, we're going to get a lot of action going. We've got big elections coming up. Trump can't lose them. So whatever cards he's going to play, whatever Trump card he has, crappy pun intended, whatever plan he has to execute it before we get close to the election season. Now, during the presidential election, what was it, 2 weeks before the election, Comey had to come out and exonerate Hillary, but it came out. Don't think for a fucking second that was an accident. I mean, it could have been, but I doubt it. It was looking like Hillary was going to walk away with that election. And when that came up, all that shit came up, it threw and casted a shadow of doubt over Hillary. It caused everyone to think, oh my God, she's a fucking criminal. That dissuaded a lot of Democrat voters. That was probably the difference between her winning by a margin and Trump winning by a small margin. So I don't discount it for a second that was a card played by the good guys. But Trump is going to have to play some more big cards before the midterm election. But the way things have progressed, in my opinion, between the Ukraine getting calmed down, Syria being absolutely controlled by his policies, And North Korea masterfully played to where they're talking about peace. I mean, we've had armistice since the end, supposedly, of that war, but it wasn't. It was kind of like a timeout that they've been on for the last 60 years. Right? There's very few people still alive in Korea relative to the rest of the population that was even alive during the original war, that knew what it was all about, or at least understood it through personal experience. So between now and this fall, something big, something bad is going to happen. And I'm not going to be taken by surprise. I'm not going to be fooled by it. And I'm expecting there to be serious terrorist action. And even the appearance of an act of war by a nation. You see, that's the type of power that the bad guys have. They have the power to cause a terror action and have it look, in terms of size, representative of an attack by another nation. Because what have we been told? What have we been told? We've been told that the Russians are going to cyber attack us. We've been told that North Korea has hacked in. We've been told that the Syrian Electronic Army, still makes me laugh, Syrian Electronic Army has hacked us. We've been told that a room full of college kids in Russia hacked the election. Right. The Hillary Clinton campaign, the Democrats have said the Russians interfered with our election by influencing people through social media. So, if a room full of people, smart people in the world of computer literacy, can hack in the name of Russia or some other country, don't you think it's plausible that the deep state type bastards who do control the media systems have their own electronic army? And they can commit an attack and then have it blamed on another nation. That's right, they have the power to make a cyber attack look like another nation, another sovereign nation's attacked us. Or they could make it look to Russia like America has attacked them. Or they could do it to both sides. You know, we're missing nuclear ordnance. I'm not going to be caught off guard when a nuke goes off. I'm not. As soon as a nuke goes off, do you think I'm going to go, oh, that was Russia. Oh, that was North Korea. Oh, that was China. It's obvious it was China. You know, that mushroom cloud was in the shape of a big C. You know, get the fuck out of here. Why would Russia do that? Why would China do that? What do they have to gain? Frankly, if I was Russia and I wanted to take down the United States, I would dump all my treasury bonds right now. I'd dump them. I'd sell them off. I'd buy the Chinese yuan, and I'd start buying whatever they need internationally using the Chinese yuan. Right? It would cause havoc in Russia. They'd take a bath on their investment. It would cause incredible tension between the United States and us. But selling treasury bonds that they bought to support our government is not an act of war. But if they wanted to cause trouble, big trouble, they could sell off enough to cause trouble, don't you think? They could do a lot of things to make life over here in the United States of America and Europe absolute hell. So when a nuke goes off, or an EMP, I'm not going to look to a sovereign nation to have done it. I'm not going to be caught off guard and buy into that shit. And I guarantee the Democrats are going to call for war. I guarantee other nations are going to call for war. I guarantee the media is going to jump all over the bandwagon, pointing the finger, right? They're going to look at all Americans and go, aren't you a patriot? We need to go to war. You know, a nuke goes off, I will shit my pants. Maybe even literally, I don't fucking know. Depends on how close it is. Right? But at the same time, I know it's not going to be Russia or China. And, at the same time, Russia and China could rope-a-dope us and launch one off, right? How would the U.S. government know? Well, they would know. It just doesn't make any sense. But if you are a criminal organization, like the bankers, like the central bankers, like the investment firms that have stolen money, like the black side, the dark side of the CIA and other U.S. contractors that have been stealing your money, your retirement, that have been committing all sorts of heinous crimes, right, which is what this pedophilia is about, and this sex trafficking, is to get these slaves, they call them slaves. Well, if they can own us, why not own slaves too, right? And then get people to participate in dastardly acts with these people, and then use that as blackmail and for purposes of extortion to control politicians. If they're willing to do that in the past, and now they've got their tails in a wringer, you can bet your ass that they'll pull and launch every attack, every weapon they can, and hope that the government thinks it's another government and that war is the way to go. But I'm not going to be caught off guard again. It's not just about being prepped with food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. It's not just about having a plan, but it's about having an understanding. But you can bet your ass that the 5% of us out here that have an inkling of what's going on, we're going to be caught off guard, a lot of us, just as Alex Jones was caught off guard. Now he's backtracked. He's like, Trump's a smart guy, right? Pulled that stuff, fooled him. Like I said, Alex has a lot of experience. But you and I, we're talking. And I need you guys to consider, the same as I am, that any attack at this point is not going to come from other nations in the world. China is poised, unfortunately for us, to be the world leader economically. Why would they want to start a war? They're poised for the next, 30 to 100 years to be on top economically, as the United States has been on top since the end of World War II. Why would they jeopardize, right, absolute economic domination of the world? Russia's moving up as well. They both have immense amounts of precious metals, gold, to back their currencies and to show the solvency of their nations. So when we go into this economic collapse, reset, yeah, they're going to be hurt by it, but they're not going to be destroyed by it. So why would they risk absolute total war and destruction and loss of their advantages? That's the case I'm making. Like I said, if a nuke goes off in Europe, in the United States, in Russia, in China, or several of them everywhere, yeah, I'm going to shit my pants, because I'm going to be worried to death that it could expand, that there could be a retaliatory response. It can happen. And I'm going to be as ready for it as I can. But I won't be caught off guard. And I don't want you to be caught off guard. Because if you remember back to 9/11, when the buildings fell, I was paralyzed. I couldn't believe something like that could happen. And then when I learned that our government was heavily involved in that, along with other governments, I was equally paralyzed, thinking, how can this be? How can this be happening? I didn't know the game could be that big. And there's other things that I think could happen in the next couple of months. Right? We've talked about it a little, or I've talked about it a little in the past. And it has to do with this alien invasion shit. Right? Sounds comical, doesn't it? Well, the government's been releasing information about this super technology. The super technology. Is it really alien? Or is it just super technology that's been hidden from us, and it's going to be presented by the media and the dark state as an alien invasion to cover their asses? It's possible they would try that. It's possible. So I won't be caught off guard. Don't be caught off guard. Have your preps. They're critical at this stage of the game. And we also need to have our wits about us, because something bad has to happen. These bad guys, whether they're factions within foreign governments and factions within our own, or whether they're private corporations, whether they're literally rogue states from within states, we've got to be prepared mentally for what they're willing to do. You see, the bad guys were in charge of everything when 9/11 went off. You would think there's no reason to do something that dramatic, that huge. A fucking attack on that scale on New York City, the heart of the financial district, and the Pentagon, and Building 7, which wasn't hit by a plane and still managed to fall. But once you figured out what was in that building, what was in that section of the Pentagon, you can see how that game was being played, and then how we were duped and how they took advantage of that. But now things are a little different. Trump has the White House. The other nations' leaders are having to choose what side they're on. And there is a lot of tension. There's a lot of tension out there because the economic system just won't be able to hold itself up. Something has to change. Something has to give. We've been going down that road, those tracks, heading to shit it's the fan. Right? Society is slipping. It's becoming decadent and falling apart. I mean, when people think it's fine to tell their kids that if you're born with a penis, that doesn't mean you're a boy. Right? All of this shit they're feeding us, it's just telling me, right, we're that decadent. And if you're a religious person, you would say they've strayed from the faith way too far. They're going down the abominable path. I'm not going there, but you know, the world seems to be. It's being promoted. But what I want is everyone, be ready. Be prepared. Have a plan, because chance favors the prepared mind. And we need to be aware not only of our plan, but what's going on out in the world. This is why I talk about the rest of the world, so we don't get caught off guard. And when shit goes down, all you're going to have to worry about is executing your plan. You're going to know what is going on and who did it and why. Right? Basically, it's because they want to take over the world. They want to control things, and they don't want to be arrested. They don't want to be thrown in jail. They don't want to be held accountable. The bad guys, right? They will pull out every stop. And the evidence is around us that they will. The evidence is around us. They've tried to and threatened to start World War III on several different occasions. In the South China Sea, in North Korea, in Syria, in Libya, up in Ukraine especially. That one was especially harrowing. So, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for supporting me. Please support other channels on YouTube by watching their commercials. Do everything you can to wake people up. You know, even if you don't think they're going to wake up, they just might. And people are a little bit every day. And then when they pull the big one, man, when they light off the big fireworks, don't be caught off guard. It's going to shock the fuck out of all of us, because that's how they play the game. But I want everyone aware that whatever happens, it's going to be because evil people are trying to make it happen, to hide themselves and to further their own agendas. So you guys be cool. I'll talk to you again soon, and Godspeed to all.